For a lot of guys, when you're thinking spring and you start getting into the different phases of the spawn, they're really not thinking a lot about cranking. For me, a crankbait is something that I use through all phases of the spawn, and especially during the pre-spawn and the post-spawn, it can absolutely be dynamite. During that pre-spawn period, a crankbait is one of the most efficient tools that I have to not only find, but to catch, those big bass that are just staging, just getting ready to move up. The colder the water, I've got baits that I want to use in that scenario. I want baits with a tighter action, more vibration, more rattles. The bass really focus with their lateral line during this cold water period to feed. So, baits like a red Eyed Shad and a chick magnet, the 1.5 flat, those are perfect baits for that cold water period. As it warms up, I want baits that have a little more thump, a little more wider wobble to them. That's where the KVD 1.5 or the 1.5 deep, your standard crankbaits that have a little more thumping action really come in just as that water temperature creeps up again. The bottom line though, crankbaits are so efficient at covering so many different types of cover, and you get down to the bottom. This time of the year, you want that bait hitting the bottom, hitting the cover, getting down into the grass, ripping free, making it erratic, making a lot of vibration, making a lot of noise. That's what triggers big fish to bite, and they're so efficient to do that. Crankbaits have become so specialized that I've got the perfect bait for really every type of zone and even cover type that I could be faced with during this period. I've got baits that really fish efficiently from 2 all the way out to about that 10-foot zone right here, and these are some of my favorites. The chick magnet, it's a flat-sided bait. It's really designed to have a real lively action. It has a hard thumping action, really gives off a lot of pressure waves. It's a great early season crankbait when the fish are really focused on using their lateral line. They find this bait and they bite this bait when they don't hit standard style crankbait. So it's really good up to that 5 or 6 foot zone. Red Eyed Shad is without a doubt, it's a mainstay pre-spawn bait for me. We make it in different versions. We got the tungsten 2-tap, we've got the standard Red Eyed Shad that has the loud BBs to it. We have a silent model. The bottom line here though is it has a flat side, it sinks. I can, yo-yo this bait. I can let it fish down into the grass, rip it free. I can fish it like a jig, and that's really what you want to do with it in spring. It's super versatile. It has that tight action, and during that colder water period, during the pre-spawn, it's just one that catches fish in all parts of the country. A real specialty bait for me is the Hybrid Hunter. So this is a bait designed for fishing shallow grass. It's kind of a combination between a square bill and a Red Eyed Shad. It's got a good loud rattle to it. With that L-shaped bill, you can reel it right down into thick hydrilla and it just backs out. So it's very different than a Red Eyed Shad or a chick magnet, but still a great cold water bait. It's got flat sides to it. Dynamite for those shallow grassy areas, and it has a legendary following already in just the short time that we've had it on the market. One of my favorite baits that not a lot of people really put a lot of time or effort into is a deeper early pre-spawn crankbait. So this KVD 1.5 flat, I designed this bait just as a cold water crankbait. It's got a nice tight action to it. It's got flat sides, doesn't have any rattles to it. It is that stealth mode early season crankbait. If I want something that's got more thump to it, more sound, more noise, more pressure waves, the KVD 1.5 deep square bill is the way to go. So this bait right here has that kind of wider action to it, really deflects off the cover real well. You can fish it in timber, rock, wood, grass, everything. And it really runs down to about 8 feet deep or so, 8 or 9 foot deep, depending on what size line that you're fishing it on. But it just has much more aggressive action. And last but not least is the Strike King 3XD. So this is one of my favorite baits this time of the year because it runs almost 12 feet deep. It's got a small profile and it has that tight action. This is a really, really versatile bait that I catch a ton of fish on. Again, if I've got a little deeper bank or a little clearer water and I need to get that extra depth, that 3XD is my go-to. During the pre-spawn, you have so many options of lures that can be effective, but I love cranking because it's just so efficient. I can get the exact bait right to the depth zone that's really designed specific for that type of cover to trigger the most bites. During this period, the fish are really focused in a lot of areas on crawfish, so I'm going to use a lot of those, you know, reds, crawfishes, dark brim colors like that, because that's the primary forage for this time of the year. But again, the water clarity is really going to determine that. You know, if I'm in a crystal clear body of water like Table Rock Lake, you know, I want those natural, you know, phantom, you know, watermelon craw, things like that. If I've got dirty water, I want brighter colors. You know, blackback chartreuse is one of my best springtime colors if the water is real muddy. So, you know, choose the right bait for the right cover and the right color for the conditions that you're faced with, and you're going to have a lot of success during the pre-spawn.